Hey, it's James from Marketing for Restaurants here, and welcome to episode 105 of Secret Sauce, the restaurant marketing podcast, the top 10 tips for restaurant website SEO.
Some restaurants are quiet, lose money, and the owner works 70 hours a week. Other restaurants are busy, profitable, and the owners work a few hours a day. What's the difference? They have a secret sauce. Join James from Marketing for Restaurants as he helps you come up with your recipe for restaurant success. Your secret sauce.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Firstly, I apologise if I sound like I'm a little bit under the weather. I am just recovering from a cold. Shouldn't really be in here today on this glorious public holiday here in sunny Melbourne, but I'm super excited because I have just come back from a 4-week holiday. Now, I don't say that to brag. I say that because I firmly believe that it is every business owner's right and obligation to take at least a 4-week holiday every year. I've come back completely recharged. I've got a whole heap of new and exciting ideas about how we're going to push our business forward. What is it that you're doing to get out and about to recharge your batteries, spend some time with your family? So yes, I spent all of that time with my family. Completely amazing. We didn't manage not to kill anyone in the family. It was actually a really, really good time away. We spent some time with Tina's relatives. That was okay. We then spent a week in Shanghai, and then we spent a couple of weeks on a ship on a Princess Cruises, traveling from Shanghai all the way through to beautiful Singapore, and a little bit of time in Singapore at the end. If you can't relate to that, if you can't relate to the ability to be able to take a 4-week holiday away from your business, then have a listen to our 3 Ps. So we've got 20 people in our company. It's fairly difficult for us to get away. My wife is the general manager. So not only has the owner gone away, the general manager has gone away. Whenever we travel as a family, we're taking 2 pretty important, moderately important people out of the business. How does the business survive? And so we actually covered that in a couple of podcasts that we did, the 3 Ps of being able to take a holiday as a restaurant owner: people, process, and profitability. So we've been blessed with a moderate amount of profitability so that we are able to go off and take a holiday. We've got some pretty strong processes in place so that we know what our team are going to be doing, and more importantly, our team know what we expect of them to be able to do, and those processes really help them to be able to operate while we're not here. And lastly, people. We've got some great people. It's all around that hiring and training and really working on the team rather than me or Tina getting in and doing all of the work that needs to be done. We did work while we were away. I spent a little bit of time on my laptop. Nearly all of the work that I did was strategic work. Sitting, thinking about plans, thinking about products that we were going to develop, scoping it out. The real research and development type kind of work that is so important and so difficult to do when you're in the office and people are talking to you, got customers talking to you, got suppliers talking to you, the team want to talk to you. It's really hard to get that clear headspace. I was able to spend some time, just some quiet time, and think about some of the opportunities that we've got and how we were best going to be able to crack them. So if you didn't take a holiday this year, definitely have a listen to those podcasts. Now, given the fact that we work pretty closely in the restaurant industry, we spent some time looking at some pretty amazing restaurants. We ate some pretty amazing food throughout Asia. And one of the big trends that we've talked about before is the casualization of fine dining. And I kind of lost count of the number of Michelin-starred restaurants that we ate at. Now, I don't say that to brag. I say that because it's really a reflection on the way that cuisine is changing. So we didn't have an unlimited cuisine budget, sadly. That's why we didn't eat at Ultraviolet, which is really quite an expensive experience. I'm sure we would have loved it, but our budget didn't stretch that far. What it did stretch to, though, was a lot of restaurants like Tim Ho Wan, so a Chinese dim sum restaurant in Hong Kong. Now, the one bit of advice I'd give to the owners of Tim Ho Wan, make sure that you Google my business and your address is nice and clear so that it's very easy to find. I set out to go there. This was going to be our dinner before we headed back to the ship on our one day in Hong Kong. And It was really hard to find. The address wasn't clear. It's actually in a train station in Hong Kong, in Central, I think it was. Really hard. I actually said, you know what, let's just call it. We'll go and get some food somewhere else. But we persisted a little bit and we managed to find it. We had the best spring rolls that we've ever had. The food was completely amazing. Everyone really loved it. And it was extremely good value, great value, amazing value when you consider the type of food that was there. This is not far out of the reach of people being able to eat there every day as their local lunchtime place. A little bit of a queue, wasn't too long, probably only waited about 5 minutes, but epic food. And we'll talk a little bit more about that because there were some really interesting things that we saw along our travels in or throughout Asia. So Shanghai, obviously, we spent some time there. Busan, which was epic. Nagasaki, also epic. Vietnam, Thailand, some great meals that were had. And Hong Kong, of course. Now, the top 10 tips for restaurant website SEO. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is the technical SEO that needs to be done. This is, as I view that there's two types of SEO. There's business SEO and then there's technical SEO. Business SEO is what to do the SEO for. Technical SEO is how to actually do it. So, SEO, search engine optimization, and when we say search engine optimization, realistically we're talking about optimizing for Google. That's the search engine that the vast majority of people are using, and if you get it right for Google, you're going to get it right for all of the others anyway. We'll look at the difference between the two. We'll look at some of the tricks that the SEO industry use. I find this as being one of the biggest problems that we see is there's so many people who have lost their job in some industry and decide that they're going to set up an SEO because it's a pretty hot topic. And they're dealing with people who've got no idea with what search engine optimization is. So they have a couple of tricks in their tool bag to make everyone think that they're actually doing a really good job, when the vast number of times they're actually not doing a great job. And there's a number of reasons. We're going to go through that. We'll talk about why SEO is important, and then we're just going to go through some of the technical things. This is going to be a pretty in-depth, nuts and bolts type kind of podcast because I really want to give people an idea of the kind of things that need to be done. Now, you may do it or you may not. If you're going to get someone to do your SEO, then this is how you're going to arm yourself to know that they're actually doing the right thing by you, because that's really important. I've heard that on multiple occasions, people saying, oh, we're paying $1,000 a month for SEO. And I'm like, well, what are they doing for their $1,000? Well, they're helping us get found in Google. How do you actually know that that's being done? Oh, we don't know. Okay. How long have you had them for? Oh, we've had them for 12 months. And what sort of results have you seen? Well, actually, revenue's down. Warning bells, you just spent $12,000 worth of marketing budget, which is a massive budget. You should be seeing a massive increase in revenue. That's the ROI that you want to be getting. And SEO can be one of the highest ROI activities that you do when it comes to marketing. And I'm going to give you a really quick example of just how awesome that return on investment can be, particularly when you're doing it yourself. That's right. Whilst you're going to be concerned really about producing the best soufflés that you possibly can, SEO, when it's set up right, when you get the procedures right, creating your own SEO doesn't have to be that hard. It's not rocket science, as we like to say. So why is restaurant SEO important? Well, you know, I love saying that you don't want to have the best restaurant that no one's ever heard of. We also say that you don't want to have the best restaurant website that no one's ever seen. And we see this time and time and time again. We spoke, one of our early podcasts was how much does a free restaurant website cost you? And we talked about the sad case of someone who had a website. And look, hands down, it would be in the top 10 most beautiful websites I'd ever seen, created by his son, who was a graphic designer. A lot of love, a lot of attention went into it. It was an amazing website, looked really, really beautiful, but there was no SEO whatsoever. It was the best restaurant website that literally no one had ever seen. I went to it probably 4 or 5 times, partially because we ate at the restaurant, partially because I was trying to help him to build his business, and it was hard for me to find his website. Almost completely unindexed by Google because Google had no idea. It was entirely images. There was no text whatsoever on it. Very difficult for Google to index. Google had no idea what they were doing. And he actually sold his business. He owned the restaurant premises. He sold it at a loss. He sold it at $250,000 loss. How much does a free restaurant website cost? You know, for these guys, sadly, it cost them $250,000. We see this quite a lot with people not doing the right amount of, or putting the right amount of attention into their marketing plan. And he was, you know what, I know there's problems with the website, but what can I do? My son built it. Kind of awkward. The sad thing is that a new operator came in, we approached them, we built their website, they sold, the prices went up, the quality of the food went down. We used to eat there when it was the first owner, we don't eat there now because it wasn't as good and it was more expensive. The thing was, the website made a massive difference. Quite a strong website, well SEO'd, got a lot of people in, a thriving business. They sold it, made a massive profit. That's what you can do. That's the kind of ROI that a good marketing plan can give you. Now, looking at our data, there are some, sort of localish type restaurants that are getting 200 visits a day. So, there's a lot of factors that go into the kind of traffic that you can get. The better search engine optimization, obviously, the more traffic Google is going to refer to you. But if you're getting 200 visits a day, that's not too shabby. And I know we've picked up customers who've come to us and they haven't been getting that in a whole month. Side by side, which website would you rather have? How many of those are going to be converting? But one of the examples that I like to give is when you actually don't look at the ROI of the website, look at the ROI of individual pages. And I think that's a really important thing to be thinking about. So let's say that you create a page, a niche page about, and we'll go with one of my favorites, gluten-free. So you're going to say that you're a gluten-free restaurant. So you're going to put in a best practice page about the gluten-free services that you offer. And I've talked quite a few times about that, so I won't go back into that in detail. But let's just say that you get 1.5 bookings a week from people looking for your gluten-free services. So you might get, say, 10 visits a week to that page, and you only convert 10%. That's a low conversion rate. These kind of niche pages tend to convert a little bit higher than that, but let's just say that. You're only getting 10 people per week, you're getting 40 a month to your page. That's something that is entirely possible to do. We're not talking crazy numbers here. This is what a lot of people are getting on their websites today. 10 people a week, and you're getting 1.5 bookings a week. I know it's a little bit artificial, but it helps make the maths work out a little bit better. So 1.5 bookings per week. Your average booking is for 2.5 seats. That means that every week you're getting 3.75 seats a week. Average seats worth $50 to you. That means you're looking at about $187 a week in revenue to you. Multiply that by 52 because there's 52 weeks in the year. That is $9,750. So you're looking at a $10,000 page. Every year, that page will bring in $10,000. Now, don't forget, in the last episode, we talked about moving customers to the right in the restaurant customer loyalty graph. If you haven't looked at that, think about that. But this is obviously first-time bookers. How are you going to get those people to be repeat bookers? That's one of those things that you want to be thinking about. So we're only talking about that when we look at that $10,000, we're only talking about the first visit from each of those customers that are coming into your restaurant. So the first time they're going to be looking for you, they're going to be looking for a gluten-free restaurant in my suburb or near me. The second time, they know you, so they're probably going to search by the restaurant name. So getting those customers to come back repeat times, that dramatically increases the value of each of those customers. You've got one page that is creating $10,000 a year in revenue. Over 5 years, that's $50,000. Now, I don't know any really good ways to make a lot of money in the restaurant industry quickly, but this is a pretty cool way of making a fair bit of money over time. The other thing that's really important to think about is that this is not the one. You don't want this to be a one-page website if you're only getting $10,000 a year out of it. What you want to be doing is thinking about the 10 niches that you're going to be targeting. You put those 10 niches together. This is how you get restaurants who are getting 200 visits a day. The average restaurant website we see gets around 1,000 visits a month. In that, there's a huge variation, and there's a couple of factors. There are factors that you can control, and there are factors that you can't control. If you're in a quiet rural town that doesn't get a lot of tourist traffic, then there's not going to be that many searches. There's not that many customers out there that you can grab. If you're in a tourist destination like the Gold Coast or Miami, where you've got a huge number of people who are coming in all the time, then there's a lot more searches that you are able to generate. So the number of people going to your website obviously is determined by external factors like that, the number of people who are going to be searching. In that quiet rural town, people aren't going to search that often because they're going to know where their favourite restaurant is. Flip side of that, though, is that if someone is searching for a new restaurant and they find your restaurant and they come back, they're much more likely to come back 10, 20, 50 times. So those searches, even though there's a lot less of them, they're probably worth a lot more to you because of the average long-term customer value of each of those searches. But I think if the average is 1,000, you always want to be doing, if you're in a small area, you want to be doing as much as you can to get as close to that 1,000. If you're in a great area, then you want to be doing as much as you can to be getting more than that 1,000. This is in a lot of effects, free money. That $10,000 idea that we talked about with targeting that one niche, when you think about that, what are the costs to service that customer? Because if you're not employing extra staff, if they're just customers coming off the street, then a lot of that is going to be profit. This is a significant amount of that goes to your bottom line. So, what are the differences between business SEO and technical SEO? The niches that you target in your business, they are the elements of business SEO that you want to be focusing on. And I've seen this quite often. People say that, for instance, we offer gluten-free food. It's like, fantastic, but it's not mentioned on your website, so how's Google going to know that? So that's one of those niches that you want to target. What is it in your business plan that you want to offer? When you look at the kind of customers who come in, which are the ones that you make the most money out of? So, for instance, I know a lot of restaurants are really interested in corporate events because they're often done midweek and they're often for a large number of people. And they, on a Wednesday night when you're doing 10 or 20 seats, you might get 20 seats, 25, 30 seats from a corporate customer. How many people have actually got a page that talks about that? How many people? It's not just about, this is why SEO needs to be a part of your business plan, because people say, we want more corporate customers. Oh, fantastic. What are you doing to get more corporate customers? Or will we advertise for corporate customers? No. Corporate customers actually have needs, wants, and desires that are significantly different to your average customer. So you need to be presenting a story that is significantly different to the story that you present to your average customer. Does that make sense? So here are 5 businesses that have had corporate events in our restaurant. These are the corporate events drinks packages that we offer. We will give you a fixed price. We will give you a set. Here are the menus that you can choose from. Here's a photo of them. We have a special room. We will offer you a projector. We can, what are the other things that we can do? Customers who are looking for corporate events, they're looking for fixed price. They're looking for the ability to minimize the amount of risk when it comes to their credit card being used. When you delve into what it is that is wanted in a corporate event, then you start to come up with a good corporate events package. Then you start marketing that corporate events package. Then you start getting customers, and then you've got the testimonials, and then you get this really good sort of virtuous circle of corporate events business that keeps coming in, particularly because you've got repeat business. And I know that there are businesses out there who will do an event every month or every quarter. You win that customer, and then you are bringing in an extra 20 seats a quarter. That's not too shabby, particularly on a Wednesday night. Not too shabby at all. So I define business SEO as the SEO that you're doing. That's where you work out what it is that you want to target. You shouldn't be letting your SEO company tell you what you want to do SEO for, because they'll pick the things that are easy for them to do. When we go through our marketing consultations when we're building a restaurant website, it's like, so tell me what your ideal customers are. What are the niches that you target? Who is most likely to be a repeat customer? Because I'm focused on increasing the number of customers and increasing the long-term customer value that we can create for you through epic SEO. And I find this an amazing process. I'm actually really proud of the process that we take, when we sit down with a restaurant owner, because on multiple occasions, restaurant owners have actually said, okay, we need to stop now because I can see we're not ready. And they're not ready because of the fact that their business plan is pretty weak. They actually have to start thinking about They're not putting everything on hold, but they might wait a couple of weeks because they need to think about what their gluten-free menu is going to be. They need to think about whether they are going to be family-friendly or not. They need to be thinking about how it is that they're going to attract these customers. Once they've attracted them, provide them with an awesome experience so that they can get them to come back as a repeat customer. You need to be really clear about the customers that you're trying to attract. You need to be really clear about the kind of customers that you don't want to attract. A little while ago, I was talking to a restaurant and said, okay, so I can see on your website that you do gluten-free. And the guy said, yeah, well, about that, it's not really gluten-free. And I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be pushing gluten-free if it's not really gluten-free. And he said, well, we made some changes in the kitchen and, we don't really have a dedicated cooking area and it is quite difficult, given our cuisine. And it's like, so why have you got it in there? And it was in the template that he downloaded. And he thought that, everyone else must be doing it. Okay, so everyone else is not running your restaurant. Everyone else does not have your business plan. Everyone else is not in your kitchen. Everyone else is not cooking for your customers. They are your customers. They're your responsibility. It's your business plan. It's your job to execute on that. That's why it's really important to have a really, really good think about the business SEO. And that's the hard bit, I think. And then when we start getting into the technical things, we're going to sort of go through how to do the technical SEO. It's a lot easier to do the technical SEO, I think, than it is to do the business SEO, because you've got to integrate your marketing plan with your business plan, with your little Excel spreadsheet that works out how much money you're going to make on a weekly basis. You are planning to make money on a weekly basis, aren't you? I hope that you are, because if you're not, then you need to change your plan. It's kind of obvious, but, some people kind of miss that bit. Make sure that you're planning for success. What are the tricks that the SEO people use? Okay, so massive industry, the SEO industry. People try and obfuscate it. They make it as black box as possible. We're going to do SEO for you. So there's a couple of tricks. Now, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to tell you about how good a job they did at SEOing for your business name. If you've got a restaurant and it's called My Little Restaurant, they are going to say, well, look at that. When you Google it, you're now number one. Okay, so now let's put this in perspective. The secret of SEO, and I've discussed this before, so hopefully it's not new to you, but the secret of SEO, which, 99% of SEO experts out there don't want you to know, is that there's only one type of person who uses Google, and that is people with problems. And Google's job, Google is a multi-billion dollar company because it works really hard to fix this problem. So people with problems, that they are looking for information, they're looking for an answer to their problem. And that problem, there's 101 problems out there. And this is why Google is so valuable, because it knows what people's problems are. So a lot of restaurant owners, for instance, are interested in what's a good Chinese restaurant near me. Providing the answer to that problem can be very, very powerful and create a lot of money for you. There's lots of other questions out there as well. Who won the 1981 Super Bowl? What's this rash that I've got? How many endings to Bandersnatch is there? Lots of things that Google is indexing as a source of information. Now, if I type in My Little Restaurant's name and I'm located in San Francisco and My Little Restaurant is in San Francisco, Google's going to say, so this guy has just typed in My Little Restaurant. Well, what's he after here? Well, he's probably after, we've got a restaurant here called My Little Restaurant, and he's in San Francisco, the restaurant's in San Francisco. He's probably after information on My Little Restaurant. You know what? So at the top, I'm going to put the website for My Little Restaurant. Boom. Your domain name, as long as you've got a domain name, the domain name, when people are searching for that domain name, Google's highly, highly likely to put it up number one, because it knows that that is the information that people are searching for. That domain name, that business name, that's part of your intellectual property. That's a really important part of what it is that your business is. That's part of the worth of it. So quick diversion, because that's a part of your intellectual property, you need to be protecting it. Now, if you're using something like, in Australia, Menulog, in the UK, Just Eat, I know Menulog is very, very keen on creating fake websites. So My Little Restaurant, so let's say My Little Restaurant's on the Gold Coast, and I've got my website, mylittlerestaurant.com.au. Just Eat will create a website, mylittlerestaurantgoldcoast.com.au. which is their one-pager template. All it is has got the menu. There's no phone number to be able to call you on. They'll charge, 13.5% commission to the restaurant. They won't pass through the email details. And I've got to say, I've had lots of restaurants who say that their customers think they're ordering directly from them, when in fact they're not. This is one of the reasons why you may not be coming up number one for your domain name. And that's something that you need to be thinking about, how you're going to protect that intellectual property. The other thing is that, you've got all of these crazy review sites. So, in a TripAdvisor, I'm looking at you. They will try and get in front of you. Now, if you look at what's happened in the hotel industry, it's really hard. Like, I like to book directly with the hotel. I try not to. I don't like using sites like booking.com. Sometimes I'll use it if I'm not familiar with where I am that I'm going, because it's good to be able to do that geographic search. So some of those aggregators are good there. But they have spent so much time and money, and they've been doing it for so long, that a lot of the hotels have actually lost the ability for their websites to rank. It's very difficult to find a hotel website. You're going to get all of these aggregators, all of these third parties coming up ahead of them. That's because they've spent more time and effort and spent a lot of money with Google to make sure that they're actually coming up above them. And so what they'll do is they'll actually run campaigns, AdWords campaigns, to make sure that they come up above the actual hotel website. So another thing that you want to be thinking about. But apart from those issues, you should be coming up number one for your restaurant. And if you're not, you need to be having a really good look about what it is, who is it that's ranking above you, and look at the SEO that's been done around it. Now, trick number 2 that the SEO industry use, I call this the electrified banana effect. What they'll do is that they will pick 2 search terms that are completely unrelated, or micro niche, and they will push those to you and say, okay, so what we're going to do is we've done some keyword research and we think it'd be really good if you ranked for, let's say, salad restaurant, Washington, DC. Now, you might be thinking, we don't sell a lot of salads, but they'll say, look, this is something that we should be aiming to do. So you trust them, you're led by their expertise, and 3 months later, obviously they say it's going to take a long time for SEO to work, and so you can pay us our monthly retainer over that period of time. They like being paid their monthly retainer. You'll find that you could probably rank for that. Now, I've just done a search for salad restaurant in quotation marks and then Washington, DC. The top 2 results are from Yelp. The next 2 are from TripAdvisor, admittedly one's from South Africa, then TripAdvisor in New Zealand. Then there's an open table listing for a restaurant that has permanently closed. So you can tell that there's no one really targeting that. Now what they'll do is they'll create a page that talks about salad restaurant, Washington, DC. They've picked something that probably very few people are going to search for. Because very few people search for it, no one's actually done any search engine optimization around it. Because no one's searching for it, there's no point being number one for something that no one's going to search for. But they know that they'll be able to get you up to probably number one because of the fact that no one's actually done any work on that space. And what they'll do is they'll say, you know what? Check the rankings now. This is a really good time to have a look at how it's going. You type in salad restaurant, Washington, DC, and what do you know? You're number one, and you think, wow, I've finally made it. 12 months on, of course, when you look over your POS details, you'll find that there's no real increase in salad sales that you can discern. No one's actually entering that page. No one's finding it in Google. That would be an indication that you've fallen for the electrified banana effect. They've picked something that may or may not be related to your restaurant, and it's a search term that's so obscure, no one's actually done any search optimization on it. So you are the first for a listing that no one is ever going to see. Now, I've spoken for a little while, so what we'll do is we'll take a break here and we will come back next week and we'll get into the top 10 tips for restaurant SEO. We'll continue on. There's still a couple more tricks that the SEO shysters out there will do. So that's it. You have an outstanding day. Hopefully you'll have a busy week. Bye.
Want more customers for your restaurant, cafe or takeout? Every month, our marketing tools and information are used by thousands of restaurant owners just like you to help them find more customers and turn them into repeat customers. All of our tools and information is designed specifically for restaurant owners. We know you don't have a lot of time to spend marketing or learning complicated procedures, so our tools are quick and easy to use. If you're looking to increase your revenue and profits or want to work less hours, check out marketingforrestaurants.com.